A few weeks ago, Alex and I were out to dinner, and we each ordered one of the two specials being offered that evening. They were both fantastic. The couple at the table next to us looked over and saw that we had ordered both specials and asked how they were and which one we'd recommend. Seeing how both of them were truly spectacular, I said, "They were both so good, it would be like choosing which one of your children was your favorite one." And without missing a beat, the old man replied, "Well, that's easy." In our first reading this morning, we hear the story of Joseph. Joseph was the child of Jacob and Rachel, and being Jacob's 11th son, in theory, he shouldn't have had much of a societal standing. In those days, it was the firstborn son who claimed the primacy of the family, and it was the firstborn son who always received special treatment. But for Jacob, not so. Joseph was his favorite son, and that did not go over well with his other brothers. To make matters worse, Joseph started having dreams that 11 stars, the sun and the moon, representing his 11 brothers, his mom and his dad, would all be bowing down before him one day. And to make matters even worse, Joseph told his family about this dream. Well, Jacob's brothers had had enough of it all, watching the special treatment that should have been theirs all go to Jacob. So they decided to kill him, throw him into a pit, and to tell everyone an animal must have attacked him. He would be killed for dreaming, or so it seemed. One of his brothers, Reuben, was feeling pretty guilty about it all. So he told his brothers, "Let's skip the whole killing him part and just throw him into a pit." Reuben had hoped to sneak away later and rescue him. So they did that, but by the time Reuben got back to the pit, Joseph was gone. He had already been taken out of the pit by some merchants passing by and sold into slavery in Egypt. It's at this moment we see one of the awesome things about God and one of the most frustrating things about God. First, the awesome thing about God. God can have a blessing emerge from even the most awful and atrocious of situations. That might not even be a bad definition for hope. God's ability to draw out good from our acts of evil. In this moment of darkness, as the roughed-up Joseph is sitting there in a pit and rescued, only to be sold into slavery, he might very rightfully be asking, where is God right now? The hope, perhaps not felt in that exact moment, would be that somehow, some way, God calls forth a blessing from this evil situation. That leads me to the second thing we learn about God from this story, namely the frustrating thing about God. And that's this: God plays the long game. God, the genie, didn't magically throw down a ladder so Joseph could escape the pit, heal his wounds, and teleport him back to his family safe and sound. Instead, God, the chess player, was always 20 moves ahead. God sustained Joseph in his moment of despair. God continued to give Joseph the ability to prophesy, so much so that Joseph gained the respect of everyone he talked to in Egypt. Joseph was revered for his sage wisdom and his accurate insights. And soon Joseph would even get Pharaoh's attention, becoming his most trusted advisor. His message to Pharaoh was this: "For the next 7 years, the crops will be bounteous and the livestock will be plentiful. But set aside some of that each year, for 7 years of famine will follow these 7 years of prosperity." So for 7 years, they saved up, and then the famine came. It not only affected Egypt, but all of the surrounding area, including Israel. Jacob's brothers, literally starving, decided to head to Egypt because they heard there was food there. This all culminates in one of the most poignant moments of the Bible, when Joseph sees his brothers in Egypt. So he summons them, and they are petrified of what Joseph is going to do. The following passage that wraps up their encounter is an emotional one, packed with forgiveness and grace, like you can't imagine. So Joseph said to his brothers, "Come near to me, please." And they came near. And he said, "I am your brother Joseph, whom you sold into Egypt. And now do not be distressed or angry with yourselves because you sold me here. For God sent me before you to preserve life. For the famine has been in the land for these 2 years, and there are yet 5 years in which there will be neither plowing nor harvest. And God sent me before you to preserve for you a remnant on earth, and to keep alive for you many survivors. So it was not you who sent me, but God." Then he fell upon his brother's neck and wept, and his brother wept on his neck. Brutal hatred was confronted with a caring love. Jealousy was met with deep concern. Retribution was turned into tear-filled forgiveness. God's blessing, God's forgiveness, God's almightiness, all on full display. This morning we remember the life of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a prophet with a simple call that people of color should be free at last. That was his dream. Blessed Martin's ministry would inspire people all around the country to fight for a truth that was supposed to be self-evident, but for some reason we failed to believe. And for that, he paid a price, being martyred for a call to love God's children of color equally. I think it's safe to say that Blessed Martin would be appalled today at what feels like backsliding in recent years, and particularly appalled that our government would send ICE agents to raid communities of color indiscriminately, ripping families apart and instilling fear in the hearts of people who have lived in this country for decades, worked in this country for decades, and loved this country for decades. We don't get to call our country the land of the free when people are afraid to go to work or people are petrified to go to the grocery store, being scared that they might not come back. We are not the land of the free when a priest has to go to the immigration office with a parishioner who lost their green card because they're scared of what might happen if they're stopped without documentation. We are not the land of the free when transgender people are afraid to go into a dressing room or use a restroom. But if we listen in these moments, we can hear those prophetic words of Blessed Martin, to be free at last. It's a reminder of a dream. It's a call to action. Being inspired by Blessed Martin, my ask of you all today is to dream. Dream of a solution so we can, in good conscience, call our country the land of the free. And then do something to make that dream come true. Go to a rally. Write a letter to congressional representatives. Something. Anything. It might just be the one thing that makes a difference. It might just be the thing that allows God to do what God does best. Turn a nightmare into a dream.